Hello everyone, how is the Lion's Gate? Do you guys get any interesting downloads or experience? Feel free to share. So today we'll be talking about another Starseed beings. And this is another very exciting video. This Starseed is huge and vast. It's the Celestial Starseed. They all have different extreme characteristics, appearances, agendas, and lifestyle. Let's actually look at the definition of celestials. And they are related to the sky or outer space, related to heaven. So what I can tell is that celestials are anything that is above or outer. It can be above Earth or outer space. It can be above dimensions. It can be above the universe, such as the Elohims, or above the timelines. Those who actually manages and see through all the timelines. In that sense, any starseeds can be a celestial. We can all be a celestial in a soul level. But depending on the soul level, because obviously young souls are not capable of such abilities. But let's look at them as beings, as species or races. Celestials can be anywhere around. Just like how mermaids do not just exist in Mintaka, it exists in many of the oceanic planets. Celestials can reside in Arcturus, the Pleiades, Sirius, Andromeda, and the list goes on. So your origin could be in Arcturus, but you are a celestial species. So you are an Arcturian celestial. And that's how I do the Akashic records. One person he has had lives in many different star systems, but particularly in Aldebaran. And he was a celestial in Aldebaran. So celestials are very mystical and enigmatic. Their behaviors are very hard to grasp, as they are the experience themselves. They can fly, but not only fly. By fly, I mean fly through dimensions. They can phase through dimensions and travel through dimensions at will. And depending on the levels, they have a limit to where they can travel dimensionally. Now, not anyone can travel dimensionally. I'll explain that. The low celestials are like, the speakers I mentioned, those jellyfish, which can travel between the first to the 12 dimensions, or even the negative dimensions at will. While the high ones can phase through higher or all the dimensions and travel to any of them at will, which is not possible normally, as each dimension has their own set of laws as well as vibrations and rhyme, which can be uncomfortable, extremely uncomfortable for beings that do not match their vibrations and rhymes, forcing them out and restricting away. So why did I say this as a thing? Now, because the inner child of us values freedom the most. And, obviously laws are made. There's the grid worker, which I'll talk about in the future video. But I want to point out that one of the roles of grid worker is to fix the grid so that not anyone can casually access to this dimension. And then laws were obviously created for each dimension. Energy was there. So that, to prevent malicious invasions. To prevent any malice that is attempt to affect these dimensions and break them down altogether. Laws were created for that. Obviously, I talked about that. That's why there is a sort of a friction between the inner child and the higher beings and the sort of the logical beings. So inner child is all about freedom, about the inner freedom. And that also relates to the phoenix. The phoenix is a powerful symbol for the inner child because the wing represents freedom. But the Celestial Council, let's just say it's a council that is in charge of creating universes. They had to implement a lot of laws and rules to prevent any more perversion from negative energies from evil itself, because evil was spreading like wildfires at that time. And so, a lot of us, especially those that are like very high celestial, very in tune with their inner child, they don't like it. They don't like laws, they don't get it, even in the sense for protection and for the light, they still don't like it. They find a great friction of it. And I can say that those who have had celestial origins would also have that friction, that great friction with it. But the good news is, celestial starseed, their soul is capable of like accessing to many of these dimensions and bypass a lot of these laws, because they have the power, they have the authorities, because they are full of light. And I'll be getting to this, talking about this as well. So, yes, higher celestials can even bypass universal laws and any laws that exist, which is sort of the end goal for us, as we, our soul, ultimately it will evolve to become the ultimate high celestial, be pure, be complete pure with light. So once our souls are capable of, becoming that pure form of light, capable of acceptance of all perspectives, such as the light and dark, and not getting consumed by the dark. So most of the time I talked about people who incorporate darkness into them, because in a way that we need to incorporate dark in order to stand up against evil, right? But those who cannot, withstand the dark and get consumed, just like how Star Wars, being the Sith, often they came from the Jedi, they start like Anakin. He starts from the light side but gets consumed from the dark easily. And so souls need to be strong enough to withstand the dark, and they need to incorporate some form of dark to know the dark, to learn the dark, in order to withstand against it and be resilient. So once we can fully embrace everything with peace, becoming one with everything, becoming everything, embracing everything, your soul can transcend beyond the laws, and your soul becomes one with all. As you know, laws exist to maintain stability and balance, but if you yourself are the stability and balance, you are the light itself, you override and outright the law, because you are everything. So karma, all that shit, no, it doesn't affect you. You phase through all of them. Reincarnation, no. Reincarnation trap, samsara, all these laws. But to be fair, like all of these karmic, karma and these concepts are like really about punishment and reward, and it has been greatly misled to sort of make us believe, fear-mongering to make us believe that we are really trapped, but in reality we are not. The law is not good as it restricts. It causes others to fear the consequences, but most importantly, we are restricted from freedom. And that sort of blocks the paradise realm. As you know, the paradise realm is the full feminine and the full inner child, without any restrictions and laws. But obviously, that was, according to, that was too naive, because that would make it so that the evil can easily overtake these heaven realms. So many of the heaven realms, such as Lyra, Mintaka, Aheda, they're all taken out, unfortunately, by evil. And so right now we're at the game where we have to get rid of all evil to sort of rebuild that paradise again in all these dimensions and universes. So and for those that think, but I'm not perfect, I don't accept certain people and behaviors, my answer is simple. You're not perfect, you feel that way, you have all these friction because you're on Earth, which is a planet of duality. And I'm talking about your soul needs to be at this level, not your physical self. Accepting or forgiving your own negative behavior or your own preference is also part of the acceptance. If you are a powerful celestial, your higher core self, which is the highest truth of who you are, is always of the light. Like, no matter what evil you done, you cannot separate from the light, because your higher self is so drawn and so connected with the light that almost every time you've done something bad, you easily forgive, your higher self easily forgive you, and you are easily pulled back to the light. Let me point out some celestials that I've personally seen. So I mentioned about the speaker, the jellyfishes. There are also the ones in the above the 13th dimension or beyond. These beings themselves, some of them literally look like the universe, because they embody the energy of universes and multiverses. Like, I'm actually diving right through fiction, and I don't believe, at first it really blew my mind to the point I really like, what the heck is this? Like, is this for real? Like, but there are beings that are literally the size of the universe and larger. And there lies another new civilization above the dimension, above the universes, and like literally a new civilization was formed, was out there, And these are also part of the celestials, but different. The Elohims were just one group of celestial, but there are probably a lot more celestial, because there's a whole lot of new discovery and civilization above the universe and above the dimensions. Like, the dimensions are endless, and our universe only exists all the way up to the 12th dimension, which the 12th dimension is the God realm, the God of this universe, the manager of this universe. But above there's the manager of, multiverses, and it has its own civilizations and lifestyle as well. Celestials are probably the freest beings amongst all. They are very powerful that they can live many lives simultaneously all at once. They can incarnate into many different forms of lives, and that's why when I see a celestial soul, I tell them that you are living many different lives, many different places. The Pleiades, the Andromeda, the Sirius, other dimensions, the negative dimensions, the lower realms, everywhere you can think of. They experience both the good side, the bad side. They need to experience everything in order to understand, in order to incorporate those energies, in order to help universes to cleanse them and to help cure the timelines and bring forth a new wave of energy into this universe. So what I can say is, celestials are one of the freest beings, but some of them have really big roles, and they're really passionate on the bringing back good and getting rid of all evil. And these are the high celestials I'm talking about specifically, that they came here to heal the timelines, to heal the dimensions. And by timelines, I'm mentioning that because, like I said, evil spreads like wildfire. It's like cells. Like, imagine cells, and timelines are infinite. But the more timeline it starts to break down and sort of fall into darkness, the more it will spread to another timeline. And the more the majority of the timelines that align with the darker forces, the whole reality will be shifted to evil. Just like how, if this might not be the best example, but let's use cells as an example. If most of the cells are more aligned with negativity, with evil, let's say cancer, cancer means that cells that goes against the body. It will slowly deteriorate the entire body, and and will die, will decay. And if more souls are aligned, more cells are aligned with what's good, with the light, we will persist. But we can't stay in the middle ground as well. We are living in a realm, a duality of middle ground. And that is why there's constantly a friction, and we're constantly stuck in this place, in this middle point. So no matter what, in my videos, I recommend incorporating the shadow, but no matter what you do, it's okay to incorporate the shadow just to do shadow work. It's very important to heal heal our shadow. In fact, right now the whole humanity is doing shadow work right now. Like, we are urged to do shadow work, but we are not to be consumed by the shadow. But it's always important that we always choose the highest form of light within our soul, our deepest core self. Our core must always choose to side with the light and deliberately choose light over dark. Now, celestials are also powerful dreamers. They can create worlds, they create life and civilization. Celestials are above God. If God are just the manager of a certain universe, Celestial is above that. I actually have a new revelation. I thought that Celestial incarnate here on Earth because they are bored with their life, because life is so easy and good in the upper realms. But I'm actually starting to think that it's different. Being a Celestial is that your life has always been about adventuring and exploring and creating new life, creating new ideas, new civilizations, and dreaming, being the dreamer itself. It's impossible for souls, for celestials, well, not just celestials, I just want to point out souls from the light to be wounded, to feel all these negative emotions, because if they truly come from the light and if they're in that light place, all these emotions that does not exist. What exists is the attachment. We often hear about the being trapped, being stuck in the shadow place, but I believe that's only part of a split part of our soul and consciousness that's been trapped, and that it requires healing and to be lifted up above, to ascend above heaven, above the light, in the light realms, and sort of cleanse and transmute their energy and be truly free from the wounds, from the negative emotions. And so I just want to say that if you ever feel stuck, know that there's always, your higher self is always up there. Your higher self is never wounded. Your higher self is always at its best, perfect state of mind and perfect appearance and form. Your lower self right now is feeling all the wound because you're at a lower plane, and you may be here for a mission, you may be here to help humanity, but sometimes what we are feeling and what we are picking up may not be truly ours, and it is made to mislead that all these emotions, all these negative emotions and feeling, it is made to believe that it is truly ours when it is not originally, because that's not what our higher self is, and our higher self are the truest self possible. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I offer Akashic Records sessions, and I also teach how to access the Akashic Records. It's actually very easy. By removing all the blocks and all the beliefs you have, and we work on that, you'll be able to access the Akashic Records by yourself easy. Not just yourself, but also helping others. If you're interested, go to my website, manifestyouridealdreams.com, and book a session with me. I look forward to having a session with you. Much love and peace.